Pressure changes people. Some panic. Some freeze. Some overthink. Some completely lose control. And in today's world, pressure is everywhere. Deadlines, expectations, competition, failure, uncertainty. Life constantly tests your ability to stay calm. But there is something important you must understand. Pressure itself is not the real problem. The real problem is how you respond to it. Because two people can face the exact same situation. One breaks down. The other stays calm, focused, and in control. What creates the difference? Mental strength, emotional control, inner stability, the ability to remain calm when everything around you feels chaotic. This audiobook is about building that ability. Because calmness is not weakness. It is power. Real power. Anyone can stay calm when life is easy. But true strength appears when things become difficult. When pressure rises. When emotions intensify. When uncertainty grows. That is when calmness becomes your greatest advantage. Most people react emotionally under pressure. They overthink. They rush decisions. They let fear control them. And this creates mistakes. But calm people think clearly, act intentionally, and make better decisions. This is why calmness is one of the most valuable skills in life. In relationships, in business, in leadership, in communication, in success. The people who rise highest are often not the loudest or the smartest. They are the calmest under pressure. Because pressure reveals who is truly in control. Another important truth is this. Calmness is trainable. You are not born with it. You build it. Through awareness. Through discipline. Through mindset. Through repeated practice. This audiobook will help you develop that strength. You will learn how to control emotions. How to think clearly under stress. How to stay composed in difficult situations. How to stop panic and overthinking. And how to become emotionally strong in a chaotic world. Because life will always bring pressure. That will never stop. But you can change how you respond. You can become steady, focused, controlled, resilient. You can become someone who remains calm when others lose control. And once you develop this ability, everything changes. Your confidence improves. Your decisions improve. Your focus improves. Your relationships improve. Because calmness creates clarity. And clarity creates power. This journey is not about becoming emotionless. It is about becoming emotionally intelligent, emotionally disciplined, emotionally strong. You will still feel pressure, but pressure will no longer control you. That is the goal. To become calm in chaos, stable in uncertainty, focused under pressure. This is where real strength begins. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Why most people break under pressure. Pressure reveals truth. Not the truth people speak about, but the truth hidden underneath their behavior. Because when life becomes difficult, masks disappear, confidence disappears, and emotional control is tested. Most people believe they are calm until pressure arrives. Then suddenly, their thinking changes, their emotions intensify, their focus disappears, and they react instead of responding. This is why pressure is powerful. It exposes your level of emotional control. The first reason most people break under pressure is fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of losing control. Fear creates emotional chaos inside the mind. And when fear grows, thinking becomes unclear. This is why people panic. Another important aspect is overthinking. Under pressure, the mind starts racing. What if I fail? What if everything goes wrong? What will people think? These thoughts create mental overload. And mental overload weakens decision-making. Another key factor is emotional attachment. Most people become emotionally attached to outcomes. They need things to go perfectly. And when uncertainty appears, stress increases. Calm people are different. They focus on action, not obsession over outcomes. Another powerful insight is lack of preparation. Pressure feels heavier when you are mentally unprepared. When you avoid discomfort daily, pressure shocks your system. This is why discipline matters. Small moments of discipline build emotional resilience. Another important aspect is identity. Many people tie their self-worth to success. So when pressure appears, they feel personally threatened. This creates panic. But emotionally strong people separate identity from outcomes. Failure becomes feedback, not personal destruction. Another key factor is emotional impulsiveness. Under pressure, emotions become intense. Most people react immediately. They speak too quickly, decide too quickly, panic too quickly, and emotional reactions often create bigger problems. Another powerful principle is lack of self-awareness. Most people do not notice their emotional patterns. They do not realize when stress is rising, when breathing changes, when thoughts become negative. Awareness is critical, because you cannot control what you do not notice. Another important insight is the need for control. People want certainty, predictability, guarantees, but life does not work that way. Pressure often comes from uncertainty, and people who cannot handle uncertainty struggle emotionally. Another key aspect is external validation. When your confidence depends on others, pressure increases. You fear criticism. You fear rejection. This weakens emotional stability. Another powerful factor is comparison. Under pressure, people compare themselves to others. This increases anxiety, and anxiety destroys calmness. Another important principle is mental conditioning. Most people train panic daily without realizing it. Constant distractions, constant stress, constant emotional reactions. This creates a reactive mind. Another key insight is lack of emotional discipline. Emotions are natural, but emotional control is a skill. Without discipline, emotions control behavior. Another powerful habit of calm people is slowing down. Pressure makes most people rush. Calm people pause, think, then act. This creates clarity. Another important factor is breathing. Stress changes breathing patterns. Breathing becomes shallow and fast. This signals danger to the brain, and anxiety increases. Learning to control breathing improves calmness instantly. Another key aspect is perspective. Most pressure feels bigger than it really is. The mind exaggerates problems. Calm people maintain perspective. They focus on solutions. Another powerful principle is acceptance. Fighting reality increases stress. Accepting reality creates clarity. What can I do now? This mindset reduces panic. Another important insight is resilience. Pressure feels unbearable when you avoid difficulty. But when you regularly challenge yourself, pressure becomes manageable. Another key factor is focus. Under pressure, the mind scatters. Calm people simplify. One step, one action, one solution at a time. Another powerful habit is emotional detachment from chaos. You can experience pressure without becoming consumed by it. This is emotional mastery. Another important aspect is self-talk. Negative self-talk intensifies pressure. Positive, calm self-talk stabilizes the mind. Another key principle is preparation through repetition. The more you face difficult situations, the calmer you become. Exposure builds confidence. Another powerful insight is that pressure itself is neutral. Pressure only reveals what is already inside you. Fear, discipline, confidence, or panic. Another important factor is identity. If you see yourself as emotionally weak, pressure controls you. If you see yourself as calm and capable, your response changes. Another key aspect is patience. Panic seeks immediate escape. Calmness tolerates discomfort. Another powerful principle is emotional maturity. Not every emotion requires action. You can feel stress without reacting impulsively. Another important insight is that calmness creates power. When everyone else is emotional, the calm person leads. At the end of the day, pressure is unavoidable. But breaking under pressure is not. This is your shift. From panic to clarity. From emotional reactions to intentional responses. From chaos to calmness. Pressure will test you, but it can also strengthen you. Because every difficult moment is an opportunity to build emotional control. And once you learn to stay calm under pressure, you gain an advantage most people never develop. Chapter 2. Emotional Control. Master your reactions before they control you. Rocket. Emotions are powerful. They can motivate you, protect you, warn you, guide you, but they can also destroy focus, destroy relationships, destroy opportunities, especially under pressure. Because when emotions rise, logic often disappears. People say things they regret, make impulsive decisions, lose control in moments that matter most. And afterward, they wonder what happened. The answer is simple. They reacted emotionally instead of responding intentionally. This is why emotional control matters. Not because emotions are bad, but because uncontrolled emotions create chaos. The first principle of emotional control is awareness. Most people are controlled by emotions because they never pause long enough to notice them. Stress appears, anger appears, fear appears, and instantly, they react. Without awareness, without control. But emotionally strong people notice what they feel before acting on it. This changes everything. Another important aspect is understanding emotional triggers. Everyone has triggers. Criticism, disrespect, pressure, failure, rejection. Certain situations activate emotional responses automatically. If you do not know your triggers, they control you. But when you identify them, you gain power. Another key factor is the pause. One small pause can prevent major mistakes. When emotions rise, pause. Breathe. Think. Do not respond immediately. This short moment creates space between emotion and action. And in that space, control becomes possible. Another powerful principle is breathing. Breathing affects emotional state more than most people realize. Fast breathing increases anxiety. Shallow breathing increases tension. Slow breathing calms the nervous system. This is why calm people focus on their breath under pressure. They regulate themselves physically first. Another important insight is emotional detachment. This does not mean becoming cold or emotionless. It means not allowing emotions to fully control your behavior. You can feel anger without exploding. You can feel fear without panicking. You can feel pressure without collapsing. This is emotional mastery. Another key aspect is perspective. Strong emotions often exaggerate situations. The mind turns small problems into disasters. Emotionally controlled people step back. They ask, will this matter later? Am I reacting emotionally or thinking clearly? Perspective reduces emotional intensity. Another powerful habit is controlling self-talk. Your thoughts influence your emotions. If you constantly think negatively, emotions become heavier. This is terrible. I can't handle this. Everything is going wrong. These thoughts increase stress. Replace them with calm, grounded thinking. I can handle this. One step at a time. Stay calm and think clearly. This changes emotional response. Another important factor is avoiding impulsive reactions. Emotional reactions feel urgent. You want to respond immediately, but urgency creates mistakes. Calm people slow down. They choose intentional responses. Another key insight is that emotions are temporary. No emotion lasts forever. Stress passes. Anger fades. Fear decreases. Remembering this prevents emotional overwhelm. Another powerful principle is self-control through discipline. Emotional control is not natural for most people. It must be practiced daily, in small moments. Choosing patience instead of frustration. Choosing calmness instead of panic. Another important aspect is body language. Your posture affects your emotions. Standing tall, relaxing your shoulders, maintaining calm breathing. These physical actions influence mental state. Another key factor is reducing emotional overload. Too much stress weakens emotional control. Rest matters. Recovery matters. Mental space matters. Another powerful insight is avoiding emotional suppression. Controlling emotions does not mean ignoring them. Suppressed emotions grow stronger internally. Acknowledge emotions. Understand them. Then manage them wisely. Another important principle is focusing on solutions. Emotional people focus on problems. Calm people focus on solutions. What can I do now? This question creates action instead of panic. Another key aspect is resilience. Emotional control improves through difficult experiences. Every challenge trains you. Every pressure-filled moment strengthens you. If you learn from it. Another powerful habit is silence. Not every emotion needs to be expressed immediately. Sometimes silence is strength. Another important factor is emotional maturity. Mature people understand that feelings do not always represent truth. You may feel afraid and still be capable. You may feel uncertain and still move forward. Another key insight is that confidence comes from emotional control. People trust calm individuals. They feel stable, reliable, strong. Another powerful principle is controlling focus. Under pressure, emotions pull attention toward fear. Bring your attention back to the present moment. Another important aspect is patience. Strong emotions demand immediate release. Patience creates control. Another key factor is avoiding emotional dependency on outcomes. You cannot control everything, and trying to control every result creates stress. Focus on effort, not obsession. Another powerful insight is emotional intelligence. Understanding your emotions helps you understand others. This improves communication, leadership, relationships. Another important principle is discipline in difficult moments. Anyone can stay calm when life is easy. Real emotional strength appears during pressure. Another key aspect is reflection. After emotional moments, review your behavior. What triggered you? How did you respond? How can you improve? This builds self-awareness. Another powerful habit is choosing calmness intentionally. Calmness is not passive. It is a decision. Another important factor is energy management. Fatigue increases emotional reactions. Take care of yourself physically. Another key insight is emotional separation. You are not your emotions. You experience them, but they do not define you. Another powerful principle is stability through routine. Daily habits improve emotional balance. Another important aspect is consistency. Emotional control improves with repetition. Another key factor is long-term thinking. Do not sacrifice your future because of temporary emotions. Another powerful insight is that calmness creates clarity, and clarity creates better decisions. At the end of the day, emotional control is freedom. Freedom from impulsive reactions. Freedom from panic. Freedom from emotional chaos. This is your shift. From reactive to intentional. From emotional to controlled. From overwhelmed to calm. Master your emotions. Control your reactions. Stay steady under pressure. Because when you learn to control yourself, very little in life can control you. Chapter 3. Calm Thinking in Chaos. How to Stay Clear Under Stress. Rocket. Chaos changes people. When pressure rises, most minds become noisy. Thoughts race. Fear increases. Focus disappears. And in moments that require clarity, people become overwhelmed. This is why calm thinking is rare and valuable. Because the ability to think clearly under stress is a superpower. Most people assume calm thinking comes naturally. It does not. It is trained, built through awareness, discipline, and emotional control. The first principle of calm thinking is slowing down mentally. Pressure creates urgency, and urgency makes people rush. They rush decisions. They rush reactions. They rush conclusions. But rushed thinking creates mistakes. Calm people slow their minds before they act. This creates clarity. Another important aspect is separating facts from emotions. Under stress, emotions distort reality. A small problem feels huge. A temporary setback feels permanent. This is emotional thinking. Calm thinkers focus on facts. What is actually happening? What do I know for certain? This reduces panic. Another key factor is controlling attention. Chaos pulls your focus in every direction. Fear, noise, stress, negative possibilities. But your mind cannot focus clearly when attention is scattered. Bring your focus back to the present. One situation, one decision, one action at a time. Another powerful principle is simplifying problems. Overwhelmed people try to solve everything at once. Calm people simplify. What is the next step? This question creates movement instead of mental paralysis. Another important insight is accepting uncertainty. Most stress comes from needing certainty. People want guarantees, perfect outcomes, complete control. But life is unpredictable. Calm thinkers accept uncertainty instead of fighting it. This creates emotional stability. Another key aspect is avoiding catastrophic thinking. The mind naturally imagines worst-case scenarios under pressure. What if everything fails? What if this ruins everything? These thoughts increase fear. Challenge them. Most fears never happen the way the mind predicts. Another powerful habit is controlled breathing. When stress rises, breathing becomes shallow and fast. This signals danger to the brain. Slow breathing creates calm thinking. This is why breathing control is powerful during pressure. Another important factor is emotional distance. You do not need to absorb every stressful situation emotionally. You can observe without becoming consumed. This creates mental clarity. Another key insight is response over reaction. Reactive thinking is emotional. Calm thinking is intentional. Reactive people panic first and think later. Calm people pause first and think clearly. Another powerful principle is perspective. Most stressful situations are temporary. But under pressure, the mind treats them like permanent disasters. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year? How important is this really? Perspective reduces emotional intensity. Another important aspect is preparation. Mental clarity improves when you prepare yourself for difficulty. If you expect life to always be easy, pressure shocks you. But when you expect challenges, your response improves. Another key factor is internal stability. Calm thinking comes from emotional stability inside, not from perfect circumstances outside. Because life will never be completely calm. You must become calm within chaos. Another powerful insight is mental discipline. Your mind will naturally drift toward fear under stress. Bring it back intentionally, again and again. This strengthens mental control. Another important principle is reducing noise. Too much information weakens clarity. Under pressure, simplify your input. Focus only on what matters. Another key aspect is patience. Stress creates urgency, but clarity often requires patience. Take time to think. Another powerful habit is asking better questions. Instead of, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? What is the best response right now? Questions shape thinking. Another important factor is confidence through preparation. When you prepare consistently, pressure affects you less. Confidence is often built before difficult moments arrive. Another key insight is emotional neutrality. Not every stressful moment is personal. Not every criticism is an attack. Not every failure defines you. This mindset creates calmness. Another powerful principle is controlling imagination. Imagination can either create fear or create solutions. Use it wisely. Another important aspect is avoiding mental overload. Do not try to solve 10 problems at once. Focus on one thing. Another key factor is resilience. Mental clarity improves through difficult experiences. Every challenge trains your mind. Another powerful insight is staying present. The mind creates anxiety by living in the future. Return to now. Focus on what you can control. Another important principle is calm observation. Instead of emotionally reacting to situations, observe them objectively. This reduces stress. Another key aspect is avoiding panic language. Words affect emotions. This is a disaster creates panic. This is difficult, but manageable creates control. Another powerful habit is silence during stress. You do not always need immediate answers. Sometimes calmness comes from waiting before reacting. Another important factor is confidence in your ability to adapt. Even if things go wrong, you can respond. This belief reduces fear. Another key insight is emotional endurance. You can tolerate discomfort longer than you think. This realization builds strength. Another powerful principle is mental flexibility. Rigid thinking creates stress. Adaptability creates calmness. Another important aspect is self-awareness. Notice how your mind reacts under pressure. This helps you improve. Another key factor is focusing on action. Action reduces anxiety. Thinking without action increases it. Another powerful insight is that calmness improves decision-making. Clear minds make better choices. Another important principle is training your mind daily. Mental strength is built consistently, not occasionally. Another key aspect is detachment from immediate emotion. Feel emotions without obeying them instantly. Another powerful habit is grounding yourself physically. Sit down. Breathe slowly. Relax your body. This calms the mind. Another important factor is understanding that pressure is temporary. Every difficult moment passes. Remember this. Another key insight is that calmness is leadership. In chaos, people follow the calmest person. At the end of the day, stress is unavoidable. Chaos is unavoidable. Pressure is unavoidable. But losing control is not. This is your shift. From panic to clarity, from mental chaos to calm thinking, from emotional reactions to intelligent responses. Stay calm. Think clearly. Focus on solutions. Because when your mind remains steady under pressure, you gain an advantage that changes everything. Chapter 4. Confidence under pressure. Stay strong when everything feels difficult. Rocket. Confidence is easy when life is comfortable, when things are going well, when results are positive, when there is no pressure. Almost anyone can appear confident, but real confidence is revealed in difficult moments. When things become uncertain, when pressure rises, when fear appears, that is where true inner strength is tested. Most people misunderstand confidence. They think confidence means never feeling fear, never feeling doubt, never feeling nervous. But that is not confidence. That is fantasy. Real confidence is feeling pressure and still staying composed, feeling uncertainty and still moving forward, feeling fear and still taking action. The first principle of confidence under pressure is self-trust. Pressure becomes overwhelming when you do not trust yourself. You constantly doubt your ability. What if I fail? What if I'm not capable? What if I can't handle this? These thoughts weaken confidence. But confidence grows when you trust your ability to respond, not your ability to control everything. Another important aspect is preparation. Confidence is often built long before difficult moments arrive. Preparation reduces uncertainty. It creates familiarity. When you consistently practice, improve, and challenge yourself, pressure affects you less. Because your mind already knows. I've handled difficult things before. Another key factor is body language. Your body influences your emotional state. When pressure rises, most people physically shrink. They tense up, avoid eye contact, move nervously. But calm posture creates calm thinking. Stand tall, relax your shoulders, breathe slowly. These small physical adjustments strengthen confidence. Another powerful principle is controlling self-talk. Under pressure, negative thoughts become louder. You're going to fail. You can't do this. You're not good enough. Most people unconsciously believe these thoughts, but mentally strong people challenge them. This is difficult, but I can handle it. Stay calm. One step at a time. Your inner voice shapes your confidence. Another important insight is accepting imperfection. Perfectionism destroys confidence under pressure, because when you demand perfection, every mistake feels catastrophic. Confident people focus on progress, not perfection. They allow themselves to learn, to adjust, to improve. Another key aspect is emotional control. Confidence disappears when emotions take over. Fear clouds thinking. Panic weakens decision-making. This is why calmness and confidence are connected. The calmer you become, the stronger your confidence feels. Another powerful habit is focusing on action instead of fear. Fear grows when you stay inactive. Action reduces fear. Movement creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Another important factor is resilience after failure. Most people lose confidence because they attach their identity to mistakes. They fail once and believe they are failures. But confident people separate mistakes from identity. Failure becomes feedback, not proof of weakness. Another key insight is perspective. Pressure often feels bigger than it really is. The mind exaggerates consequences. But when you step back, most situations become manageable. Perspective reduces fear. Another powerful principle is controlling comparison. Comparison weakens confidence, especially under pressure. You start believing everyone else is stronger, smarter, or more prepared. But confidence grows when you focus on your own progress, your own growth, your own path. Another important aspect is repetition. Confidence is built through repeated exposure to discomfort. Every difficult conversation, every challenge, every stressful situation. These moments train you. Another key factor is accepting discomfort. Pressure feels uncomfortable. That is normal. But discomfort is not danger. You can handle uncomfortable moments. This realization strengthens confidence. Another powerful insight is clarity. Confidence improves when you know your purpose. When your mind is clear, pressure becomes easier to handle. Another important principle is breathing control. Fast breathing increases anxiety. Slow breathing stabilizes your nervous system. This improves confidence instantly. Another key aspect is self-respect. Confidence grows when you consistently follow through on your commitments. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you build trust internally. Another powerful habit is staying present. Fear lives in imagined futures. Confidence grows in the present moment. Focus on what you can do now. Another important factor is adaptability. Confident people do not need perfect conditions. They trust their ability to adjust. This creates emotional stability. Another key insight is mental toughness. Pressure strengthens mentally strong individuals because they stop fearing discomfort. They expect challenges and prepare for them. Another powerful principle is calm communication. Under pressure, nervous people rush their words. Confident people slow down. Speak clearly. Think before speaking. This creates authority. Another important aspect is emotional detachment from outcomes. You cannot control every result, but you can control your effort and response. This reduces anxiety. Another key factor is discipline. Confidence is not only emotional, it is behavioral. The more disciplined you become, the more confident you feel, because discipline creates certainty within yourself. Another powerful insight is courage. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is action despite fear. This is real strength. Another important principle is focusing on solutions. Fear focuses on problems. Confidence focuses on action. What can I do next? This question creates control. Another key aspect is internal validation. If your confidence depends on others, pressure will break you. True confidence comes from within. Another powerful habit is learning from pressure instead of avoiding it. Every difficult moment teaches something valuable. Another important factor is consistency. Confidence grows through repeated action, not through waiting. Another key insight is that pressure reveals your habits. If you train calmness daily, you access it during stress. Another powerful principle is accepting uncertainty. You do not need guarantees to stay confident. You only need trust in yourself. Another important aspect is patience. Confidence develops over time, through experience, through growth. Another key factor is self-awareness. Understand your emotional patterns under stress. This helps you improve. Another powerful insight is that confidence influences others. Calm confidence creates trust, leadership, stability. At the end of the day, pressure will always exist. Difficult moments will always come, but confidence allows you to remain steady through them. This is your shift, from fear to self-trust, from panic to composure, from doubt to confidence. Stay calm under pressure. Trust yourself. Keep moving forward, because when you develop confidence during difficult moments, very little in life can shake you. Chapter 5. The Power of Calm Communication. Speak clearly under stress. Rocket. Pressure changes the way people communicate. Under stress, voices become louder. Words become rushed. Emotions take over conversations. And in difficult moments, communication often becomes destructive instead of productive. This is why calm communication is powerful, because the ability to speak clearly under pressure changes everything. Relationships improve. Leadership improves. Decision-making improves. Conflict becomes manageable, and people begin to trust you more deeply. Most people think communication is only about words, but calm communication is much deeper than that. It is emotional control expressed through language, tone, timing, and presence. The first principle of calm communication is slowing down. Pressure creates urgency, and urgency makes people speak too fast. They interrupt, react emotionally, say things they later regret. But calm communicators slow down intentionally. They pause before speaking. They think before reacting. This creates clarity. Another important aspect is emotional awareness. Every conversation carries emotion underneath it. Fear, frustration, stress, insecurity. If you do not recognize emotional energy, communication becomes reactive. Calm communicators notice emotions without being controlled by them. This changes the entire conversation. Another key factor is tone. People often remember your tone more than your actual words. A calm tone creates safety. A harsh tone creates resistance. Under pressure, Controlling your tone becomes critical. Another powerful principle is listening. Most people listen to respond. Calm communicators listen to understand. They stay present. They pay attention. And this creates connection. Another important insight is avoiding emotional reactions. Stressful conversations trigger emotional responses automatically. Defensiveness, anger, impatience. But reacting emotionally weakens communication. Pause first. Respond intentionally. Another key aspect is body language. Communication is physical as well as verbal. Your posture, eye contact, facial expressions, breathing. These signals affect how others perceive you. Calm body language creates calm conversations. Another powerful habit is clarity. Under pressure, people often over-explain or communicate emotionally. Calm communication is simple, clear, direct, intentional. Another important factor is silence. Not every moment requires immediate words. Silence can create control. It allows thinking. It reduces emotional escalation. Another key insight is emotional detachment. You can engage in difficult conversations without becoming emotionally overwhelmed. This is emotional maturity. Another powerful principle is controlling volume. People often raise their voice under stress. But louder communication rarely creates better understanding. Calmness carries more authority than aggression. Another important aspect is patience. Difficult conversations take emotional discipline. Rushing creates mistakes. Patience creates understanding. Another key factor is empathy. Pressure affects everyone differently. Understanding another person's emotional state improves communication. Empathy is not weakness. It is awareness. Another powerful insight is avoiding assumptions. Under stress, people assume negative intentions. They misinterpret words. Calm communicators seek clarity instead of assumptions. Another important principle is asking questions. Questions reduce defensiveness. They create understanding. What do you mean? How can we solve this? Questions shift conversations toward solutions. Another key aspect is staying solution-focused. Emotional communication focuses on blame. Calm communication focuses on resolution. What can we do next? This mindset creates progress. Another powerful habit is managing emotional triggers. Certain words or situations may trigger strong reactions in you. Recognize them. Control them. Do not let triggers control your communication. Another important factor is confidence. Calm communication comes from inner stability. When you feel secure internally, you communicate more clearly externally. Another key insight is avoiding unnecessary conflict. Not every disagreement requires a battle. Emotionally mature people know when to engage and when to let go. Another powerful principle is timing. Even truthful words can fail if spoken at the wrong moment. Calm communicators understand timing. Another important aspect is self-control during criticism. Criticism triggers defensiveness in most people. But calm individuals listen first, reflect, then respond. This creates emotional strength. Another key factor is staying grounded physically. Slow breathing, relaxed posture, steady voice. These physical behaviors stabilize communication under stress. Another powerful insight is that calm communication builds trust. People feel safer around emotionally stable individuals. They listen more carefully. They respect calmness. Another important principle is reducing emotional language. Avoid exaggeration. This always happens. You never listen. These phrases increase conflict. Speak specifically and calmly instead. Another key aspect is emotional responsibility. Your emotions are your responsibility. Do not expect others to regulate them for you. Another powerful habit is reflection after conversations. Review difficult interactions. What triggered you? How did you respond? How can you improve? This builds communication awareness. Another important factor is emotional consistency. People trust those who remain emotionally steady, not unpredictable. Another key insight is that communication shapes relationships. One calm conversation can strengthen trust. One emotional reaction can damage it. Another powerful principle is leadership through calmness. In stressful situations, people naturally follow the calmest person. Another important aspect is confidence without aggression. You can be firm without being emotional, strong without being loud. This is real communication power. Another key factor is avoiding overreacting. Most situations do not require extreme emotional responses. Perspective matters. Another powerful insight is emotional intelligence. Understanding emotions improves every conversation. Another important principle is staying present. Do not let past frustrations control current conversations. Focus on now. Another key aspect is choosing peace over ego. Sometimes being right is less important than protecting the relationship. Another powerful habit is breathing before responding. This simple action changes emotional reactions instantly. Another important factor is resilience during difficult interactions. Not every conversation will go perfectly. Stay calm anyway. Another key insight is that words carry energy. Calm energy creates calm environments. Another powerful principle is intentional speaking. Speak with purpose, not impulsively. Another important aspect is self-respect. Calm communication reflects emotional discipline. Another key factor is maturity. Emotionally mature people communicate to solve, not to win. At the end of the day, communication reveals emotional strength. Anyone can speak calmly when life is easy, but calm communication during pressure is rare and powerful. This is your shift from reactive speaking to intentional communication, from emotional conversations to calm clarity, from conflict to controlled responses. Speak calmly, listen carefully, respond intentionally, because when you master calm communication under pressure, you gain influence, respect, and emotional power that most people never develop. Chapter 6. Stop overthinking. Calm the mind before it controls you. Rocket. Most pressure does not come from reality. It comes from the mind. From endless thoughts, imagined problems, fearful scenarios, constant mental noise. This is overthinking. And overthinking quietly destroys calmness. It steals focus, steals confidence, steals peace. Under pressure, the mind wants certainty. It wants guarantees. It wants complete control over the future. But because life is unpredictable, the mind keeps searching for answers it cannot fully find. And this creates mental exhaustion. The first principle of stopping overthinking is awareness. Most people overthink automatically. They do not even realize it is happening. One thought becomes 10. 10 thoughts become fear. Fear becomes stress. Awareness interrupts this cycle. Notice when your mind begins spiraling. Another important aspect is understanding the purpose of overthinking. The mind believes overthinking will protect you. It tries to predict danger, avoid mistakes, prevent failure. But instead of creating clarity, it creates confusion. Because excessive thinking weakens decision-making. Another key factor is separating thinking from worrying. Thinking solves problems. Worry repeats problems. This difference is important. Productive thinking leads to action. Overthinking leads to paralysis. Another powerful principle is returning to the present moment. Overthinking lives in the future. What if something goes wrong? What if I fail? What if things get worse? These thoughts create anxiety. Bring yourself back to now. Focus on what is actually happening, not imagined scenarios. Another important insight is that certainty is impossible. You will never control every outcome. Trying to control everything creates stress. Calm people accept uncertainty. This reduces mental pressure. Another key aspect is limiting mental overload. Too much information increases overthinking. Too many opinions. Too many possibilities. Too many distractions. Simplify your mental environment. Another powerful habit is taking action quickly. Overthinking grows during inactivity. Action interrupts mental spirals. Even small action creates momentum. Another important factor is controlling imagination. Imagination can either create fear or create solutions. Most overthinkers use imagination negatively. Train yourself to focus on possibilities instead of disasters. Another key insight is questioning your thoughts. Not every thought is true. Not every fear is realistic. Ask yourself, is this actually happening? Am I assuming the worst? This creates mental clarity. Another powerful principle is breathing control. Overthinking affects the body. Heart rate increases. Muscles tighten. Breathing becomes shallow. Slow breathing calms the nervous system and quiets the mind. Another important aspect is emotional awareness. Many people overthink because they avoid emotions. Instead of feeling uncertainty directly, they mentally analyze it endlessly. Sometimes you must simply allow emotions to exist without fighting them. Another key factor is avoiding perfectionism. Perfectionism fuels overthinking. You become afraid of mistakes, afraid of failure, afraid of judgment, and this creates constant mental pressure. Progress matters more than perfection. Another powerful insight is mental discipline. The mind naturally drifts toward fear and negativity. Bring it back intentionally, again and again. This strengthens mental control. Another important principle is reducing unnecessary decisions. Decision fatigue increases mental overwhelm. Simplify your routines, your habits, your priorities. This creates mental space. Another key aspect is self-trust. Overthinking often comes from lack of trust in yourself. You fear making the wrong decision. But calm people trust their ability to adapt if things go wrong. This reduces fear. Another powerful habit is writing thoughts down. The mind becomes calmer when thoughts leave your head and enter paper. Clarity increases. Stress decreases. Another important factor is limiting emotional reactions to thoughts. Just because a thought appears does not mean it deserves attention. You can observe thoughts without believing all of them. Another key insight is patience. Not every problem requires immediate answers. Some situations become clearer with time. Another powerful principle is physical movement. Movement reduces mental tension. Walking, exercise, stretching. These actions calm the mind. Another important aspect is focusing on what you can control. Overthinkers obsess over uncontrollable outcomes. Calm thinkers focus on effort, response, action. Another key factor is reducing comparison. Comparison increases insecurity, and insecurity fuels overthinking. Focus on your own path. Another powerful insight is that mental peace requires boundaries. Protect your attention. Too much noise weakens clarity. Another important principle is avoiding catastrophic thinking. Most imagined disasters never happen. The mind exaggerates threats. Recognize this pattern. Another key aspect is staying grounded in reality. Not imagined futures. Not worst-case scenarios. Reality is often far less frightening than the mind predicts. Another powerful habit is mindfulness. Observe your thoughts calmly, without reacting immediately. This builds emotional distance. Another important factor is sleep and recovery. An exhausted mind overthinks more easily. Take care of yourself physically. Another key insight is emotional resilience. You are stronger than your mind sometimes makes you believe. Trust yourself. Another powerful principle is simplifying life. Too many commitments create mental chaos. Focus on what truly matters. Another important aspect is calm routines. Consistent habits reduce mental instability. Another key factor is learning to let go. Not every problem can be solved immediately. Not every situation needs endless analysis. Sometimes peace comes from release. Another powerful insight is that overthinking steals the present moment. Life passes while the mind stays trapped in fear. Another important principle is acceptance. Accept uncertainty. Accept imperfection. Accept discomfort. This creates peace. Another key aspect is confidence through action. Movement builds certainty. Thinking alone does not. Another powerful habit is limiting negative input. Constant negativity fuels anxious thinking. Protect your mental environment. Another important factor is emotional balance. Calmness comes from stability within. Another key insight is that clarity comes through calmness, not panic. The more emotionally calm you become, the clearer your thinking becomes. At the end of the day, overthinking is not intelligence. It is fear disguised as analysis. And fear grows when left uncontrolled. This is your shift. From mental chaos to mental clarity. From fear to calmness. From endless thinking to intentional action. Quiet your mind. Focus on the present. Take action. Because when you stop overthinking under pressure, you finally gain the peace and clarity needed to move through life with confidence. Chapter 7. Resilience under pressure. Stay strong when life gets hard. Rocket. Life will test you. Not once. Not occasionally. Repeatedly. There will be moments when things feel heavy. moments when plans fail, moments when pressure becomes overwhelming. And during those moments, one quality determines whether you collapse or continue moving forward. That quality is resilience. Resilience is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is quiet strength. The ability to continue when things become difficult. The ability to remain steady under emotional pressure. The ability to recover after setbacks instead of staying broken by them. Most people misunderstand resilience. They think resilient people never struggle emotionally. But that is not true. Resilient people feel stress, feel pain, feel disappointment. The difference is that they do not stay trapped there. They recover faster, adapt faster, move forward faster. The first principle of resilience is acceptance. Many people suffer more because they resist reality. They ask, why is this happening to me? This shouldn't be happening. But resisting reality increases emotional pain. Resilient people accept situations quickly, not because they like difficulty, but because acceptance creates clarity, and clarity creates action. Another important aspect is emotional endurance. Most people try to escape discomfort immediately, but resilience requires the ability to sit with discomfort without collapsing. Stress, uncertainty, fear. You must learn to tolerate difficult emotions without losing control. Another key factor is perspective. Pressure feels permanent when emotions are high, but resilient people remember that difficult moments pass. No emotion lasts forever. No setback lasts forever. This mindset creates hope. Another powerful principle is adaptability. Rigid people break under pressure. Flexible people adjust. Life rarely goes exactly as planned. Resilience comes from learning how to adapt instead of panic. Another important insight is self-talk. Your inner voice becomes extremely important during difficult times. Weak self-talk creates weakness. I can't handle this. Everything is ruined. These thoughts increase emotional suffering. Resilient people speak differently to themselves. This is hard, but I will get through it. One step at a time. This creates emotional stability. Another key aspect is separating identity from failure. Many people experience setbacks and immediately believe they are failures. But resilient individuals understand that failure is an event, not identity. You can fail and still remain capable. Another powerful habit is emotional control. Pressure intensifies emotions, but resilience requires calm responses instead of emotional reactions. Pause, breathe, think clearly. Another important factor is focusing on what you can control. Stress increases when you obsess over things outside your control. Resilient people focus on actions, effort, and response. This creates stability. Another key insight is consistency during difficult times. Anyone can stay disciplined when life feels easy. Resilience appears when you continue despite difficulty. Small, consistent actions matter during hard seasons. Another powerful principle is patience. Healing takes time. Growth takes time. Recovery takes time. Resilient people understand this. Another important aspect is maintaining routines. During chaos, routines create stability. Simple habits protect mental strength. Sleeping properly, exercising, reflecting, staying grounded. These actions matter deeply under pressure. Another key factor is emotional awareness. You cannot manage emotions you refuse to acknowledge. Recognize what you feel honestly. This creates self-understanding. Another powerful insight is avoiding victim mentality. Victim thinking removes personal power. It focuses only on unfairness. Resilient people ask, what can I do now? This mindset creates movement instead of helplessness. Another important principle is learning from adversity. Pressure teaches lessons comfort never can. Every challenge reveals something important. Strengths, weaknesses, patterns, growth opportunities. Another key aspect is staying connected to purpose. Difficult moments feel heavier when life lacks meaning. Purpose creates endurance. It gives you reasons to continue. Another powerful habit is calm breathing during stress. Your nervous system influences emotional resilience. Slow breathing creates emotional regulation. Another important factor is support. Resilience does not mean isolating yourself emotionally. Strong people ask for support when needed. Connection matters. Another key insight is controlling mental focus. The mind naturally focuses on fear during pressure. Bring your attention back intentionally. Focus on solutions. Another powerful principle is confidence through survival. Every difficult moment you survive strengthens your belief in yourself. You realize, I've handled hard things before. This creates inner strength. Another important aspect is emotional recovery. Do not ignore exhaustion. Rest matters. Recovery matters. Even resilient people need restoration. Another key factor is reducing unnecessary stress. Protect your mental environment. Not every battle deserves your energy. Another powerful insight is resilience through discipline. Discipline creates stability during chaos. When emotions become unstable, routines keep you moving. Another important principle is hope. Hopelessness weakens resilience. Hope creates endurance. Believe that things can improve. Another key aspect is perspective during setbacks. One difficult moment does not define your entire future. Remember this. Another powerful habit is staying present. Stress often comes from imagining painful futures. Focus on today. Focus on now. Another important factor is emotional maturity. Resilient people do not expect life to always feel easy. They understand struggle as part of growth. Another key insight is courage. Resilience requires courage to continue despite uncertainty. Another powerful principle is letting go of control. You cannot control everything, and trying to do so creates emotional exhaustion. Another important aspect is self-respect. Resilience grows when you continue showing up for yourself during hard times. Another key factor is identity. See yourself as someone who can endure difficulty. This changes behavior. Another powerful insight is that resilience compounds over time. Every challenge handled well strengthens future resilience. Another important principle is calmness during storms. Pressure reveals emotional strength. Another key aspect is trusting the process of growth. Some seasons are painful, but they are shaping you. Another powerful habit is gratitude. Even during difficult moments, gratitude stabilizes perspective. Another important factor is emotional balance. Do not allow temporary emotions to define permanent decisions. At the end of the day, life will never become pressure-free. Challenges are unavoidable. Difficulty is unavoidable. Pain is unavoidable. But breaking permanently is not. This is your shift. From fragile to resilient. From overwhelmed to steady. From fear to inner strength. Stay calm under pressure. Adapt through difficulty. Keep moving forward. Because resilience is not about avoiding hard moments. It is about becoming strong enough to rise through them. And once you develop true resilience, very little in life can stop you. Chapter 8. The Calm Leader. How strong people stay steady in crisis. Rocket. Pressure reveals leadership. Not titles. Not status. Not words. Real leadership appears during difficult moments. When uncertainty rises. When emotions intensify. When people begin to panic. That is when calm leaders stand out. Because in moments of chaos, people naturally look for stability. They look for someone steady. Someone composed. Someone who can think clearly when others cannot. This is the power of calm leadership. Most people think leadership is about controlling others. But true leadership begins with controlling yourself. Your emotions. Your reactions. Your mindset under pressure. The first principle of calm leadership is emotional stability. Emotional people spread emotional chaos. Calm people spread emotional control. This is why a calm leader changes the energy of an entire environment. When everyone else is anxious, calmness becomes powerful. Another important aspect is presence. Strong leaders stay mentally present during pressure. They do not disappear emotionally. They do not panic internally. They focus on the current moment. This creates clarity. Another key factor is controlling fear. Fear spreads quickly in stressful situations. If a leader becomes emotionally reactive, others lose confidence. Calm leaders acknowledge fear without feeding it. This creates trust. Another powerful principle is clear thinking. Pressure weakens decision-making for most people. But calm leaders slow down mentally. They avoid impulsive reactions. They focus on facts instead of panic. Another important insight is communication. During crisis, People need clarity more than emotion. Calm leaders communicate simply, directly, steadily. Their words reduce confusion instead of increasing it. Another key aspect is confidence without arrogance. Calm leadership is not loud. It does not need aggression. It creates certainty through composure. Another powerful habit is listening carefully under pressure. Most people stop listening when emotions rise. Calm leaders listen fully before responding. This improves decisions. Another important factor is body language. People constantly observe emotional signals. A calm posture, controlled breathing, steady eye contact. These physical signals create emotional safety for others. Another key insight is emotional discipline. Leaders cannot allow temporary emotions to control important decisions. This does not mean suppressing emotions. It means managing them wisely. Another powerful principle is focusing on solutions. Weak leaders focus only on problems. Calm leaders focus on action. What can we do next? This mindset creates movement. Another important aspect is adaptability. Crisis rarely follows perfect plans. Calm leaders adjust quickly instead of emotionally resisting change. Another key factor is staying grounded during uncertainty. Strong leaders accept uncertainty without collapsing emotionally. They understand that leadership often means making decisions without complete information. Another powerful insight is accountability. Calm leaders take responsibility during difficult moments. They do not blame others emotionally. They focus on solutions. Another important principle is patience. Pressure creates urgency, but emotional urgency often creates mistakes. Calm leaders think carefully before acting. Another key aspect is resilience. Leadership becomes difficult during hard seasons. Calm leaders endure pressure without losing themselves emotionally. Another powerful habit is controlling emotional contagion. Emotions spread between people quickly. Panic spreads panic. Calmness spreads calmness. This is why emotional control matters so much in leadership. Another important factor is emotional maturity. Strong leaders understand that pressure affects everyone differently. This creates empathy, not weakness. Another key insight is staying calm during criticism. Leaders will face disagreement, pressure, judgment. Calm leaders remain composed instead of defensive. Another powerful principle is self-awareness. Strong leaders understand their emotional patterns. They notice stress before it controls behavior. Another important aspect is confidence through preparation. Calm leaders prepare consistently. Preparation creates certainty during difficult moments. Another key factor is maintaining perspective. Crisis makes problems feel bigger emotionally. Calm leaders step back and assess situations clearly. This improves decisions. Another powerful insight is protecting mental clarity. Too much emotional noise weakens leadership. Calm leaders create space to think. Another important principle is emotional consistency. People trust emotionally stable leaders, not unpredictable ones. Consistency creates security. Another key aspect is courage. Leadership requires difficult decisions. Pressure tests courage constantly. Calm leaders act despite uncertainty. Another powerful habit is slowing conversations down during stress. Chaos creates rushed communication. Calm leaders reduce emotional speed. This creates clarity. Another important factor is avoiding ego-driven leadership. Ego creates defensiveness. Calm leadership prioritizes solutions over pride. Another key insight is humility. Strong leaders stay teachable even under pressure. Another powerful principle is controlling internal dialogue. Leaders influence others best when they manage themselves first. Another important aspect is decisiveness. Calmness does not mean passivity. Strong leaders make decisions with clarity. Another key factor is emotional recovery. Leadership pressure can become exhausting. Restoration matters. Another powerful insight is influence through calmness. People naturally follow emotionally steady individuals. Calmness creates authority without force. Another important principle is long-term thinking. Panic focuses only on immediate fear. Calm leaders think beyond the current moment. Another key aspect is discipline. Leadership requires emotional discipline daily. Another powerful habit is protecting focus during chaos. Do not allow distractions to weaken clarity. Another important factor is self-trust. Calm leaders trust their ability to respond to difficulty. Another key insight is emotional detachment from panic. You can care deeply without becoming emotionally consumed. Another powerful principle is service. True leadership supports others during difficult moments. Another important aspect is staying composed during uncertainty. People remember emotional energy more than perfect words. Another key factor is calm decision-making. Clear minds create better outcomes. Another powerful insight is that leadership begins internally. If you cannot lead yourself emotionally, pressure will expose it. At the end of the day, leadership is tested during pressure, not comfort. Anyone can appear strong when life is easy, but calm leaders remain steady during storms. This is your shift. From reactive to composed. From emotional chaos to calm leadership. From panic to clarity under pressure. Stay steady. Think clearly. Lead calmly. Because when you become emotionally strong during difficult moments, you become the kind of person others trust, respect, and follow naturally. And that is real leadership. Chapter 9. Inner peace in a chaotic world. Protect your mind and energy rocket. The world is noisy. Constant notifications. Constant opinions. Constant pressure. Constant distraction. Most people live in a state of emotional overload without even realizing it. Their minds never rest. Their attention is constantly pulled in different directions. And over time, this creates anxiety, exhaustion, and emotional instability. This is why inner peace has become rare and valuable, because staying calm today is no longer automatic. It must be protected intentionally. The first principle of inner peace is understanding that peace begins internally. Most people search for peace outside themselves. They believe peace will come when life becomes easier, when problems disappear, when everything finally goes perfectly. But life will never remain perfectly calm for long. There will always be uncertainty, challenges, pressure. This means real peace must come from within. Another important aspect is protecting your attention. Your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Whatever constantly controls your attention eventually shapes your emotions. If your mind is filled with negativity, chaos grows internally. If your mind is filled with calmness and clarity, emotional stability increases. Protect what enters your mind. Another key factor is reducing unnecessary noise. Most stress today is not caused by survival. It is caused by overload. Too much information. Too many distractions. Too many opinions. Too much comparison. Inner peace requires simplification, not adding more. Another powerful principle is emotional boundaries. Not every situation deserves your emotional energy. Not every argument deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your reaction. Emotionally peaceful people protect their energy carefully. Another important insight is learning to disconnect. Constant stimulation weakens the mind. Silence restores it. Time away from screens. Time away from noise. Time alone with your thoughts. These moments are powerful. Another key aspect is mindfulness. Most people live mentally trapped in the past or future. Regret, fear, anxiety. But peace exists in the present moment. Mindfulness trains your mind to stay here. Now, another powerful habit is controlled breathing. Breathing affects emotional state instantly. Slow breathing creates calmness. This simple habit stabilizes the nervous system. Another important factor is accepting imperfection. Many people lose peace because they demand perfect outcomes, perfect timing, perfect results, perfect control. But life is imperfect. Peace grows when you stop fighting reality constantly. Another key insight is emotional detachment. You can care deeply without emotionally absorbing everything around you. This is emotional maturity. Another powerful principle is limiting comparison. Comparison destroys inner peace. It creates insecurity, jealousy, pressure. Focus on your own growth instead. Another important aspect is gratitude. The mind naturally focuses on problems. Gratitude shifts focus toward what is still good. This creates emotional balance. Another key factor is simplifying priorities. Trying to do everything creates mental chaos. Peace requires clarity about what truly matters. Another powerful insight is controlling reactions. You cannot control everything that happens, but you can control your response. This creates emotional freedom. Another important principle is protecting your environment. Your surroundings affect your mental state. People, conversations, media, atmosphere. Choose environments that support calmness. Another key aspect is self-awareness. Notice what drains your energy. Notice what restores it. This awareness helps protect your peace. Another powerful habit is creating quiet routines. Morning calmness, reflection, walking, reading, prayer or meditation. These practices stabilize the mind. Another important factor is emotional honesty. Inner peace does not mean pretending everything is fine. Acknowledge your emotions honestly, then manage them wisely. Another key insight is letting go of control. Trying to control everything creates constant tension. Peace grows when you accept uncertainty. Another powerful principle is slowing down. The modern world glorifies constant busyness, but constant rushing creates emotional exhaustion. Slow down mentally. Be intentional. Another important aspect is focusing on what truly matters. Most stress comes from giving energy to unimportant things. Protect your attention carefully. Another key factor is emotional resilience. Peace does not mean weakness. Strong minds remain calm under pressure. Another powerful insight is that calmness is a daily practice, not a one-time achievement. You must protect your mind consistently. Another important principle is reducing emotional dependency on external validation. If your peace depends on others, it becomes unstable. True peace comes from internal stability. Another key aspect is learning to pause. Not every situation needs immediate reaction. Pause first. Breathe. Think clearly. Another powerful habit is reflection. Daily reflection clears mental clutter. It creates awareness. Another important factor is limiting negativity. Constant exposure to negativity shapes emotional state. Protect your mind intentionally. Another key insight is choosing peace over ego. Sometimes inner peace matters more than proving a point. Another powerful principle is acceptance. Some situations cannot be changed immediately. Fighting reality emotionally only increases suffering. Another important aspect is maintaining healthy routines. Sleep, movement, healthy habits. These support emotional stability deeply. Another key factor is patience. Peace takes practice. Mental calmness develops gradually. Another powerful insight is focusing on solutions instead of constant worry. Worry drains energy. Action creates clarity. Another important principle is emotional balance. You can feel emotions without becoming controlled by them. Another key aspect is staying connected to purpose. Purpose stabilizes the mind during difficult seasons. Another powerful habit is protecting solitude. Quiet moments strengthen mental clarity. Another important factor is self-respect. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. Another key insight is that peace creates power. Calm minds think clearly, make better decisions, handle pressure better. Another powerful principle is choosing intentional living, not reactive living. Another important aspect is trusting yourself. Inner peace grows when you believe you can handle life's challenges. At the end of the day, the world may remain chaotic. Pressure may continue. Noise may continue. Uncertainty may continue. But your inner world does not have to become chaotic too. This is your shift. From emotional overload to inner calmness. From mental noise to clarity. From constant stress to emotional peace. Protect your mind. Protect your energy. Protect your peace. Because when you develop true inner calmness, you carry stability into every area of your life. And that kind of peace becomes one of the greatest strengths a person can have. Chapter 10. Mastering Calmness. Become unshakable under pressure. Rocket. Everything you have learned throughout this journey leads to one final truth. Calmness is power. Not loud power. Not aggressive power. But quiet, controlled, unshakable strength. The kind of strength that remains steady when life becomes difficult. The kind of strength that thinks clearly under pressure. The kind of strength that refuses to collapse emotionally when chaos appears. Most people spend their lives reacting. Reacting to stress. Reacting to fear. Reacting to uncertainty. Reacting to pressure. And because they constantly react emotionally, they never feel fully in control. But calm people are different. They respond intentionally. They stay grounded. They remain stable inside even when the outside world becomes chaotic. This is what it means to become unshakable. The first principle of mastering calmness is understanding that calmness is trained. No one is born emotionally strong automatically. It is built through discipline, through awareness, through repeated practice under pressure. Every difficult moment is training. Every stressful situation is an opportunity to strengthen emotional control. Another important aspect is identity. You must stop seeing yourself as someone controlled by emotions. Instead, begin seeing yourself as calm, steady, and emotionally disciplined. Identity shapes behavior, and behavior shapes results. Another key factor is emotional responsibility. Your emotional state is your responsibility, not other people's, not circumstances, not the world's. This realization gives you power, because once you stop blaming external situations for your emotions, you begin developing control internally. Another powerful principle is acceptance. Life will never become completely stress-free. There will always be uncertainty, unexpected problems, difficult people, pressure. Trying to eliminate all discomfort creates frustration. Mastering calmness means learning to remain steady despite discomfort. Another important insight is emotional discipline. Feelings are temporary, but decisions made during emotional chaos can create lasting consequences. This is why emotionally strong people pause before reacting. They breathe, think clearly, then respond intentionally. Another key aspect is controlling your focus. Your mind becomes whatever it repeatedly focuses on. Fear creates anxiety. Gratitude creates peace. Solutions create confidence. Train your focus carefully. Another powerful habit is slowing down mentally. Pressure makes people rush emotionally, but calm individuals reduce emotional speed. They think clearly before acting. This creates better decisions. Another important factor is confidence through resilience. Every challenge you survive strengthens your belief in yourself. You begin realizing, I can handle difficult situations. This creates inner stability. Another key insight is emotional detachment from outcomes. You cannot control every result, but you can control your effort, mindset, and response. This mindset reduces unnecessary suffering. Another powerful principle is staying present. Anxiety lives in imagined futures. Regret lives in the past. Calmness lives in the present moment. Focus on now. Another important aspect is protecting your mental environment. What you consume emotionally affects your inner state. Protect your attention carefully. Another key factor is self-awareness. Emotionally strong people notice emotional shifts early. They recognize stress before it takes control. This creates emotional intelligence. Another powerful insight is that true strength is calmness under pressure. Aggression is easy. Emotional reactions are easy. Calmness requires mastery. Another important principle is consistency. Emotional strength is built daily, through small moments of discipline, patience, self-control. Another key aspect is perspective. Most stressful situations feel larger emotionally than they truly are. Step back. Breathe. Think clearly. Perspective restores calmness. Another powerful habit is simplifying life. Too much mental clutter weakens emotional stability. Focus on what truly matters. Another important factor is emotional endurance. You are capable of handling discomfort longer than you think. This realization creates resilience. Another key insight is letting go of ego. Ego creates emotional reactions. Calmness creates wisdom. Another powerful principle is intentional communication. Speak calmly. Listen carefully. Respond thoughtfully. This strengthens emotional control. Another important aspect is adaptability. Emotionally strong people adjust instead of panic when plans change. Flexibility creates stability. Another key factor is internal validation. Do not let your emotional state depend entirely on external approval. Build confidence from within. Another powerful insight is patience with growth. Mastering calmness takes time. You will make mistakes. You will have emotional moments. Continue improving anyway. Another important principle is learning from pressure instead of fearing it. Pressure reveals weaknesses that need strengthening. This creates growth. Another key aspect is breathing control. Breath connects directly to emotional state. Slow breathing creates calm thinking. Another powerful habit is reflection. Review your emotional responses honestly. This builds awareness. Another important factor is protecting peace intentionally. Inner peace does not happen accidentally. It is created daily. Another key insight is discipline over emotional impulses. Do not let temporary feelings control permanent decisions. Another powerful principle is resilience after setbacks. If you lose control emotionally, recover quickly. Do not stay trapped in guilt or frustration. Another important aspect is calm leadership. Emotionally calm individuals naturally influence others positively. Another key factor is purpose. Purpose creates emotional direction during difficult moments. Another powerful insight is gratitude. Gratitude stabilizes perspective during stressful seasons. Another important principle is emotional maturity. Mature people understand that discomfort is part of life, not proof that life is failing. Another key aspect is trusting yourself. You are stronger than many of your fears suggest. Another powerful habit is protecting stillness. Silence restores emotional clarity. Another important factor is long-term thinking. Do not sacrifice long-term peace for temporary emotional reactions. Another key insight is emotional freedom. Real freedom is not controlling everything outside you. It is controlling yourself within difficult moments. At the end of the day, mastering calmness changes everything. Your decisions improve. Your confidence improves. Your communication improves. Your relationships improve. Your leadership improves. Because calmness creates clarity, and clarity creates power. This is your final shift. From emotional reactions to emotional mastery. From panic to peace. From instability to unshakable calmness. Pressure will always exist. Challenges will always exist. Chaos will always exist. But now, you understand something powerful. You do not need the world to become calm before you become calm. You can create calmness within yourself. And once you learn that skill, very little in life can shake you again.